In this video, we will be continuing to take a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. We are now on episode 7 of the series, and in the last episode we saw a lot of expansion happen, and we also saw, I believe, our first Daily Japan update. If you do end up enjoying this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. We are currently on the road to 1,000 subscribers. To be honest, we might already be there when I've posted this, because I'm recording this, I'm pre-recording a lot of these Wixo videos. So yeah, let's begin. So we will be kicking off this video with some good old exploration into, maybe we should, Africa. So, we're going to see some more exploration down the African coast, and we're going to start to see quite a few of these European powers start to get interested in this, as, you know, there could be some good land down here for them, and they do want that because currently they are blocked off, unable to claim any more territory. So they will be heavily funding some of these explorations, and they kind of stop at the Congo. They also discover these islands down here, and during this process we see some more exploration outwards, leading to the discovery of the Azores. Up north we're going to see the discovery of Iceland, and this is probably by the Norwegians, I would have to guess. And over here we see the exploration of the northern Russian coast. But there is something growing that maybe will want to push these Europeans to actually go even further around, because the Egyptian Empire, which is an empire at this point, it's starting to become heavily religious based, and it's based off of this lovely religion right here that's outdated a little, but this red religion right here, and they kind of view other religions as lesser than them. So they're starting to become quite harsh with their trade policies, and this is important because the Indian nations over here are heavy exporters of spices towards these European nations. And with these guys becoming increasingly strong, it's cut off one of the major trade routes over to this area, which was through Egypt right here. The other one still exists through Mesopotamia into Turkey, but it's looking like it's only a matter of time before the Egyptians take over this one as well. So this is going to kind of worry the Europeans, and this is actually a very similar situation to real life, but here it's kind of being repeated, which is pretty interesting to see. So some nations are starting to think if there's any other ways that they can get around to India, and there are a lot of these nations, specifically the Galicians and the Irish. They are thinking maybe if we could sail around Africa. However, people don't really think of this one as like plausible, because they think Africa kind of just goes like this and it just goes across. So yeah, there aren't many people like thinking of that. There are some people thinking of going through Central Asia. However, it's kind of with these guys right here, they're also kind of strict on their trade policies, and you don't really want to go through the desert. So yeah, these guys are kind of in a bad situation because of this. But now we're going to be updating some layers. So the first layer we're going to be updating is the trade routes layer. I'm not sure when the last time I updated this one was, but I do want to update it now, because there are quite a few interesting things that's happened to it. So the first thing is we now have a connected trade route through the, well, not through, but underneath the Caucasus Mountains, and this trade route now goes around the Caspian Sea, and it connects up with this capital right here, and the Caspian Sea is now fully encircled with the trade routes. We also see the Carthaginians attempt to build a trade route connecting to Egypt, but the Egyptians, they don't really want to do this because they feel like it would undermine their trade in the area, which, like I said before, they are growing. We also see, finally, the construction of this trade route connecting with this Persian colony. And over here in East Asia, we see the trade route now stretch up from the Indonesian country and move out to Vietnam. So yeah, that is the updated trade routes at the minute, but now we're going to be going on to something that I haven't done before, and that is actually going to be power rankings. So I'm sure there are some of you who are interested in this, so if you're not, I'll put a timestamp on screen to tell you where to skip to if you're not interested in the power rankings, but I'll do them right now. This is going to be the military power rankings, and it's going to be the top 10. So at number 1 military, the strongest military in the world at the minute, it's actually going to be the Greeks. They are quite strong, and while they have fallen off a little bit, they are still quite a dominant power. At number 2 we have the Egyptians. They have been consolidating their power, and they've been using the foundations that Greece has set to build themselves up as a pretty strong empire. At number 3 we have France. They are getting quite strong as well. They have been getting quite rich as well, so that's kind of helping them out a lot. At number 4 we have the Dutch. They are still quite strong. They're definitely not as strong as they used to be, but they're still quite up there. At number 5 we have, I would say number 5 could maybe it could be Ukraine. I'm looking at ones like Sweden as well. Rome as well, and Carthage. I think I'm going to give number 5 to... I think I'm going to give it to Rome. They have built themselves as a pretty strong trading empire in the Mediterranean, so that helps them out a lot there. At number 6, I think we're going to have Sweden. They are becoming very strong, and they also have quite an advanced military as well. At number 7, I think it's going to be Ukraine. At number 8, it's going to be Gibraltar. At number 9, I think it's going to be Carthage. And these guys are all quite close together. I'd say from number 4 to about number 8, these guys are all very similar in power as well. And finally, at number 10, and the reason I'm only looking in the old world is because there's a pretty big technology difference. Of course, with more people and there being more countries in this older area, there is of course going to be more advanced technology. However, I do think that we could maybe have a new world country in here. Yeah, I think, yeah, so this is the strongest, actually. Yeah, I feel like this guy would be because he's kind of in the hub and it started out from here. So it's going to be central China. So that is going to be the 10th strongest country. So yeah, that is the military power rankings. So yeah, this will be changing. I'll try and keep on top of it like every few episodes. But for now, I'm just going to turn that layer off. So now we're going to be getting to some expanding, because we haven't seen any this episode. So, the first thing we're going to see is we're going to go to the Egyptians. The Egyptians are going to be continuing to expand on the North African coast, now moving over to this Libyan area. They will be exploring over to this Libyan area right here, and they will also be sending some more explorations further into the desert, taking this land right here. And in Arabia, you can kind of notice something interesting happening right here. So Mesopotamia is starting to feel quite worried about this, as they know what Egypt is trying to do here. So yeah, they're going to maybe try and build some alliances. And it's here where I introduce you to a new layer, where we will be looking at said alliances. And we are going to see Mesopotamia try and get some help from the Caspian country right here. And they're going to accept, because these guys are starting to become quite good friends. They have collaborated quite a lot on this trade route, so they are going to be creating the Circle Alliance. Why do I keep burping? But yeah, no, they're going to be creating the Circle Alliance together, and this is a defensive alliance, and it's actually the first alliance like this that we've seen. This isn't the only alliance that's going to be forming, though. We do see something else happen, and that is actually going to be an alliance up here between Norway and this country right here. These guys are both worried of Sweden expansionism, and Sweden is a lot stronger than both of these guys, so they are getting kind of worried about that, so they are going to form an alliance to protect each other. And the final alliance we will be seeing is over here in East Asia, and this is actually going to be a religious alliance, so I will symbolise that from here. This isn't technically because they have good relations or they're close, it is because they have the same religion, and I'm not going to lie, it's probably going to be only over here where we're seeing this. But now let's do what I said I was going to do and do some expanding. So, first up here, we're going to go straight to Sweden, because they are going to be doing some expansion. They're going to continue along the Arctic Sea over here, and so it's starting to look like they're going to just keep on going around here. So we're going to see this country right here, who has obviously just formed an alliance with Norway. They're going to swoop in and take a pretty big chunk of this land. Finland decides that they're going to stay out of it, so that kind of just leaves them. Down over here, we see the Cape Verde country. They're going to continue their expansion down the coast of Africa, taking this pretty large chunk. Over here, we're going to see this Sudanese country decide to expand down, meeting up with Somalia, which I guess I'll call this guy Somalia. And over here, we see this Persian colony continue to expand. They also meet up with the Mesopotamians because of this threat right here. Speaking of this threat right here, they are going to continue their expansion, now going down the Arabian coast, just like this. And they are starting to become very strong, and the reason they are able to do this is also because of the trade coming into their country. This point right here is becoming very big, And we're even starting to see Egypt look quite threatening to Sudan right here. But now it's time for a war because we haven't had a war in quite a bit. And it's going to be a war over here. So, the northern Chinese country and the southern Chinese country, they are, well, they don't have bad relations per se, but this northern Chinese country, they have an extremely large population, shown well by the major cities here. They are at this point the most populated country in the world, and they really just need more space. So they're going to go over to this southern Chinese country, and they are going to demand a few provinces. And they're going to demand all of these provinces right here. And they say they're being generous because they still have the capital under their control, but, well, quite clearly they're not. And of course, these guys are going to refuse because they do have a lot of people there and it's quite important for them. Now, the reason the Chinese country is asking this guy and not this blue guy over here, which is weaker, they're not the same religion, they don't want to get caught up in that, and plus they're in an alliance with Korea. So yeah, that is why these guys are going for these guys down here. And we're actually going to see, after the Chinese country is denied, they're going to be launching an invasion. So they're going to quickly move down the coast right here, and they're also going to cross in the mainland. We do see the Parallelogram Alliance heavily fund these guys, as if you know your history from this series, you'll know that Korea broke away from this country due to them having a different religion, and also they weren't getting along well with this country. So yeah, they will be funding them. So these guys are going to quickly move down here and encircle this capital. They are going to begin the siege of it. And up north, we're going to see a pretty large advance. And at this point, it's kind of getting very bad for the central government, and we're going to see a few provinces decide, oh, we don't really want to get caught up in this, so we're actually going to break away. And that is going to be these group of provinces right here. They're going to declare their independence, and pretty interestingly, they're actually going to align themselves with this Indonesian religion. And a pretty large reason that these guys had declared independence is because a lot of Indonesians had moved up to this land and settled there, and it's not shown on the map, but Indonesia is a separate religion. It's sort of like similar to this off branch, but it's different in its own way. I will update that at the end of this video, so in the next video you will see an updated religion map. But yeah, that is why, and this is going to crumble these guys, and they're just going to get blasted. Whoops. They're just going to get blasted, and they lose their capital, and yeah, they're going to surrender. And this peace treaty is not going to be too kind to these guys. So taking a look at this peace treaty here, we can see that China is annexing all of this land, which is actually more provinces than they had originally asked for. Originally, they didn't ask for this province, or this province. So yeah, they have been much harder on them than they would have if they accepted, but why would you accept that? Like, you're just getting screwed over if you do. Their new capital will be, they decide actually they're going to put their capital on Hainan Island just to make it a little bit more safe, and they begin to build up their navy after this to ensure that this can't happen again. This new country over here, their capital is going to be right here. I'm actually just going to fix this border because I feel like it doesn't make too much sense for them to be this large. I'm just going to cede over these two provinces right here. There we go, that looks a little better. Anyway, now we're going to be moving over to this country right here. It's not shown on the map, but this is its sort of own religion, and these guys are very expansionist. They come from all of these East Asian countries, and they just kind of really want to just take as much land as they can, and they're actually going to invent the bow and arrow, and you might be surprised that that's not already been invented. There are like javelins and that, but no projectile launcher has been invaded, and they're going to use this to conquer quite a few tribes, and they're even going to meet up with this lake over here. And they're also going to take the opportunity to expand into this land, and I'll just give you a warning, this is going to be a very big expansion. So yeah, we see these guys take a very large chunk of land, and they start to think, maybe if we could conquer these lands down here, we could become even stronger. So they start to do frequent raids into this country, and I might have just kind of shocked you by doing that, but to be honest, it really doesn't look like this. It more so looks like this and this. This area isn't really owned, it's kind of just claimed, so don't think they've got people living in this whole thing. Yeah, they're probably like they're one of the strongest countries in this area. I would say this southern Chinese country, as well as the Lime team, is stronger than them. But they are stronger than countries like this guy. So yeah, they're going to be frequently raiding into this country. They also move over here and link up with the Pacific. And they are going to take a big chunk of this land, but some of it is also going to go over to this orange country. So they're going to take this chunk right here. The orange guys, they're going to take this chunk, and the Koreans are going to get this southern bit. But yeah, so these guys and these guys, they really don't like each other now, and even these guys down here, they're going to be like getting some ideas from this. Maybe we could team up with these guys who, they're the Mongols, obviously, they're the Mongol Empire here. Maybe we could team up with them and we can get some of this nice land. Maybe even get this city right here, their capital, which is actually the most populated city in all of the Asian area. Well, that was a stinky fart. Now we're going to be moving down south here to this newly released country. They are going to be expanding down the coast right here, and they're going to be setting themselves up a pretty nice area. Down with the Indonesians, they're going to continue their episode-long conquest into Borneo. This episode, they're going to take probably their largest chunk so far. It's going to be all of this land right here, and they're probably, yeah, that's probably their most land claimed in one episode. They're also going to take a lot of these islands, such as Timor, and they're going to also start a campaign into, I believe this island is called Flores, I believe. I think I mentioned it in one of the other videos as well, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself and getting it wrong. Over here to this country that kind of hasn't done anything for a while, they're going to be expanding quite a bit. And they're going to be looking like this. They take some land in the north, some in the south, and I'm going to give them this bit right here as well. And they are gaining strength, and they're also expanding south. And yeah, the strength they are gaining is from this colony, obviously. It's becoming quite good for trade. Over here in Caucasia, we're going to see these guys continue to expand, now meeting up with the Anatolian/Turkish country. But now we're going to see another war break out. So, this light green country, this guy hasn't really done anything. It formed from the remnants of the light blue team. And ever since then, they've kind of just sat around and done nothing. And this pink country, they are, well, they're kind of mad about the land they lost. So they're going to be launching an invasion into the nation, hoping to gain some land. And it's going really great for them. They managed to break into the country, and they're moving up to this capital. These guys, they will push back. They are strong, but not as strong as these guys. They are a landlocked country, one of the only ones in Europe, actually. And while they are big, they're not very strong. This city will be captured, but right after it is, we're going to see something very unfortunate happen for these guys. And that is the Greeks will move in on the southern border, hoping to gain some land. And yeah, this is not going to go well for them, as the Greeks managed to capture their capital. And the Greeks are looking to regain some of the strength that they had lost, and, well, yeah, this is going to kind of work. We're also going to see the Ukrainians even get in on this, making some land gains right here. And the weak little green team is going to manage to recapture their major city. And it turns out they might not be too weak at all, as they capture the major city of the pink team. And, yeah, this is just going to kind of lead to the surrender of this country. So, yeah. So, let's have a look at this peace treaty. So in this peace treaty here, we can see that the pink team has been completely divided up. The Greeks managed to gain a very good deal with this, as they were the ones that captured the capital of the country, so they will be taking all of this land right here. The green team will be taking this land right here, and the Ukrainians will be taking this land right here, and we can get rid of that capital. So yeah, there goes the pink team. Quite an old country, but unfortunately for it, its neighbours were quite expansionist. Now we're going to be moving over to the yellow team up north. Now, the yellow team, they were suffering from quite a lot of instability not too long ago. However, now they have actually built themselves up, and they decide that they're going to construct a few more of these major cities. And this is because their population is growing, and they are looking to maybe expand again. And they have become quite strong, so they're going to be going after one of their weak neighbours. And that neighbour is, of course, going to be the Estonians / the Baltics. So, the yellow team will cross the border, and they will immediately see success managing to capture this major city right here. They will also continue along this border, and yeah, it's looking very good for them. They will kind of move around this coast. However, we do see an issue for them, and that is that they launched this invasion quite late on in the year, and these guys are quite good at fighting in the cold, so we see some guerrilla warfare happening, allowing some pushbacks into the country, or their claims, so they are kind of forced to retreat back just a little bit. They hold on to this major city, and they kind of hold off this front line until the next summer, which is going to be in a few months. Now, looking down here, these guys are going to kind of see an opportunity here. However, they're not going to take it because they are kind of happy with the position they're in at the moment. They don't really want to gain any land. However, some of this yellow team land, like I said, it is becoming quite, not necessarily rich, but quite prosperous land. So we could maybe see something happening there. But now it's summer again, and the yellow team is going to continue their push in. But as it looks like the yellow team is about to capture the capital, we see something very bad happening. Sweden, who is, they're kind of out of land to gain up here, they're going to be looking to gain some more in a, not only a better position, but also an unclaimed position. So, yeah, they're going to be going after this guy, and I'm going to cut it short. These guys are going to get pummeled. They make a landing in this major city, and it just surrenders immediately. Like, they see Swedish ships coming to their country, and they're just like, no. So this big chunk comes right here, and at the battle of this major city, Sweden decisively wins, and now they're even approaching the capital. This allows just a complete pushback on the Baltic side country. What? This allows a complete pushback by the Baltic country, and they are able to move into the yellow team. And unfortunately for the yellow team, they are falling at this point. They are really not doing too good. And the Swedes capture their capital, and after a little bit more fighting, we're going to see the yellow team surrender. So looking at this peace treaty here, we can see that, yeah, it's really not gone too well for the yellow team. They have been heavily reduced in land size, and they've also been weakened. And a pretty interesting side aspect of this war is that we're actually going to see Sweden setting up an alliance, and that is going to be the Star Alliance. And this is sort of a counter to the Triangle Alliance up here, but it's also because they have just gained the new ally of the Baltic country. We're also going to see Finland look at this alliance. They're going to be like, maybe, but they do want to stay out of it for now. But yeah, no, this is looking up for the Swedish at this point. And the final event of this video, because I've been recording for half an hour now, is we're going to see, it's actually going to be quite a major thing that we're going to see happening. And that is actually going to be the first colony being set up in Africa. So the Galicians will be moving down, and in their attempt of maybe looking like we can go to India around Africa, they're actually going to be setting up a few outposts. We're going to see one be set up in Nigeria, and we're going to be see one set up over here on the Gold Coast. And after this happens, we're going to see a few more nations decide to do this as well. Specifically the French, they're going to do one right here. This is going to be a pretty small one, but at least they have it. And also we're going to have the, who else? We're going to have the English country. They're going to set up a pretty small one over here as well. And we are going to be seeing a little bit more of this land be explored as they continue to move around the African coast. But yeah, that is actually going to be it for this video. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. This was a pretty major video. We saw quite a few interesting things happen here. And yeah, I will see you in the next one.